What's up? What's up, everyone? This is Coach Ladondra for a solo episode as we are talking about lift up your voice. Listen, our theme for this month is branding. It's about all about empowering your brand voice. How many of you have found yourself in that situation to where you feel like you just don't know what your voice is? Like, even when you hear your voice, it gives you like it makes you quiver, it makes you feel paranoid, and you're thinking, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I have to say. I'm afraid, and you're over analyzing every word. Or you find yourself in the place to where you're thinking, hey, my voice, it really doesn't matter. Like, there's so many voices out there. Like, what contribution can I make? Listen, most of us have found ourselves in those places, and it's kind of one of those things where if you haven't had the experience, then you will start to compare yourself to others in the marketplace. That's why today we're going to deal with that thing, and I'm going to be equipping you with some things on how to lift up your voice. Listen, it makes me think of old hymn where it talks about lift your voice, lift every voice and sing. Y'all, I can't sing. Till heaven and earth will ring, something like that. But we gotta lift up our voice. And when I just did that, what that does is it's like, what is your voice? Like, we have to stop and think about what is our voice? What sound do we make? Do we project a commanding sound, or is it light and fun, and or is it exuberant or powerful? What is your voice? When I think about that, it's almost like I think of us as a symphony, heaven symphony, and there's so many cymbals, and there's harps, and there's guitars. I don't know, that it could be, I think it is a guitar in heaven, a rock one. It could be eclectic sounds. There's so many sounds here on earth. What does that what is that sound for you? We have to stop and really think about that, because a lot of times we're trying to be something that we're not, and our sound, and we're not staying true to our authentic sound. And when we're not being true to our authentic sound, if it's a harp, if it's a guitar, if I'm a harp and I'm trying to be a guitar, what's going to happen is I'm going to deter my ideal audience, because they can read that I'm not being myself. So the very first thing that I would like for you to evaluate is, what is your sound? What is your sound? And this is not, this is, I'm going to take you really practical. These is going to help you to really, really decide, like, in building up your brand voice, your brand message, so that you will know what you are lifting up, right? What I will say for me is that I am, even though I'm a natural introvert, my voice is very commanding. My presence is very commanding. And I know that. So when I get on a stage, what happens is that a switch goes off, and the introvert moves out of the way, and the commanding person comes forward. You see, do you feel that energy coming forward? It's the commanding, because that's my message. What I have to say, it's more commanding and authoritative. What is yours? I've seen amazing speakers get on stage for TED Talks, and their voice, it was quiet, it was subtle, yet powerful. And so you had to hinge on to every word that they spoke. They would go, and then they'd walk, and they'd speak, and every word you had to hinge on. And how they spoke, it draws you in. Why am I doing this? Because a lot of times, if we're not the one, we'll start to look at ourselves and we'll compare ourselves and say, hey, I'm not like that brand. I'm not like that speaker. I'm not like that person. And we'll start to squash out our voice. We'll start to diminish the power that we bring to the stage, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, wherever that is. And so I'm bringing that out so that you can recognize and you can see that both are powerful, both have a strong effect, and both have a point to make. And it just depends on your audience. So the very first thing is, I want you to ask yourself, does my sound reflect the message that I want to share to the world? That's a question. Does my sound reflect the message that I want to share with the world? Because you may be in that point to where you're like, okay, I'm acting like I'm the boss babe. You're not being real, but I'm acting like I'm the boss babe, so I'm going to try to protect, like I got it together, I'm the type A, and whoa whoa whoa. But that's not true to you. So you got to ask yourself, does my sound reflect the message that I want to be shared into the world? Because even if your sound may be more of a nurturer sound, and we cover these type things in our programs, we have a generational wealth codes accelerator program that's coming up where we talk about these different sounds. And it may be the nurturer, and the nurturer, they're more loving, they're more giving, they sow themselves into others. And when they do that, there's a different way that they're going to write their message. There's a different way that they're going to position themselves in the marketplace. There's a different way that they are going to show up. And so you got to ask yourself, does the sound that I'm reflecting out, does it reflect the message that I want to share with the world? That's the first question. The second question that I'd like you to ask yourself, and I have some really pointed questions, because if we're really going to go deep on this, and I don't want you to be a hearer of the word. I really want you to be one who takes in what I'm saying, and then you do something with it. You do something with it. You're showing up to these lunch bites for a reason. Do something with it. So the next question is, does it reflect the impact that I want to make in the world? Does my voice reflect the impact that I want to make in the world? What are you being called? How are you called to make an impact in the world? Is it towards the masses? Is it towards the small circles of people that's deep and it's intimate with connection? What is the impact that you feel that you are being called to make in this earth? Does your voice reflect that? Ask yourself this question. I'm giving you homework right up front. Hey, Melanie, how are you, sis? The other question is, does it resonate with the audience that I want to speak with? So many times we miss the mark in communicating with our audience because we want to talk to everybody. We're like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to miss anybody. And we start to try to put on the hero syndrome. I got to save everybody. It's my responsibility. Instead of assuming responsibility for the territory that you have been assigned. We have each been assigned unique territory to affect change to a certain group of people. Those certain group of people are the people who will resonate with your voice. And so you really have to get really clear on who those people are, because leaders are going to listen differently from those who just came to be students, and business owners are going to listen differently than those who are employees. And so you really got to know your audience. Some of them, if you're too loud, you're going to reflect them away from your brand. They're not going to want to listen to you. If you're not poised enough, your people are not going to want to. So you got to know who your people are and how do they normally respond to the message that you are putting out. And that's going to be really important, because what's going to help you, it's going to help you do is to stay true. I remember as I was starting to develop in my business, and I was trying to figure out who I was as a brand, because we are our brand. First, we as individuals are our brand. So let's get that out of the way. We are individuals as a brand. So regardless of what you're saying with your mouth, you can be still saying things without saying a word by the way that you show up in a room, by the way you presence yourself, by the way that you posture yourself, by the way that you make a handshake, by the way that you're giving me eye contact. That says a lot about you as a brand. And so I remember when I was first starting out in my business, I would enter into a room. When I first entered in, I entered in as wholly me. I was a whole, like when I say holy, like all of me. I was all of me. Like I came in with my ripped jeans and my blazer and my cute heels. And I was that commanding type of energy, still fun, passionate, exuberant. But then I started to compare myself, my brand, and the way that I positioned myself to others who were in the industry. And they were more poised and packaged up and all of these things. And so I tried to conform to fit, thinking that that was going to be the way that was going to pull successful people towards me. And I found out quickly that I was still missing the mark, because I was losing the successful people that I was called to affect change towards, that I was called to affect change towards. And so we really have to think about what that is and who are we talking to, because when I started to do some evaluation and asking myself these questions that I'm asking you guys to ask yourself as an activation, what I found is that I'm not supposed to be well packaged up. I'm not supposed to be well poised and yes, this is the way that the world works. And so you speak like this, and every word is so eloquent. And when I put things out on my social media, that is not my brand. That is not my brand. And so when I started to try to replicate that, then I keep messing that word up. What's going on with me today? Get your whole life together, ma'am. That's me coaching me on the screen. So anyway, I was deterring my audience away from me, because they could read that that wasn't me. But when I started to be me and do things like I just did, and I'll stop in the middle and I'm like, girl, get your life together. Like, and I'm being holy. It connects with the people who the brand is where raw, real, relevant, and authentic. Raw, real, relevant, and authentic. Raw, real, relevant, and authentic. It helps other people to be the exact same way. It gives them permission to be raw, real, relevant, and authentic. So you got to really think about what it is that you want to communicate. Who are you communicating to? What's the impact? And so part of the impact is part of your intention. What is the intention that you are trying to create with your brand? Is it that you want to have polished leaders who are following you from corporate? Or is it that you want those people who are still leaders, but they're raw, real, and authentic? What is it? What's the impact? And do you want other people? Because my goal, the intention that I have is I want leaders to remove the mask and become who they have been called to become who they have been authentically called to be. I'm calling forth the true leader, the true lion out of them, the true lioness that is willing and ready to release her roar in her message exactly how she's been designed to do it. And so you got to really think about what that is for you and who you have been called to affect change. Okay. So the next thing is like I said, even when you're speaking, I want you to notate that even when you're not speaking, you're speaking. Even when I'm not speaking, I'm speaking. So ask yourself, when I'm not speaking, what message am I communicating? And is that message congruent to the message that I want to be displayed out into the marketplace? So even when I'm not speaking, does the message reflect what I want to be heard? Or even when I'm not in that room, does the message reflect like the impact that I've made? What are people saying about me when I'm not in that room and I'm not speaking on stage or I'm not networking? What are people saying? Because that tells you a lot about your brand, and it helps you to see, are you in alignment? Are you congruent? Is your messaging on point with the people that you have been called to serve? So let me give you, I've been giving you a lot of tips, but I'm going to keep going because I'm doing a little bit of teaching here. And this is I'm doing a lot of teaching actually, but I want you to really kind of catch this. And I'm going to give you some points now. And let me look at my notes because I want to make sure that you grab these points. So here, these points are tips to help you to empower your voice and create alignment in your brand. So the first thing is that you want to know your unique, your unique perspective and your voice, that it matters. So when I thought about this point and making this point to you, one thing that I wanted to stop and think about is I wanted to come into a position where I got to mentor you, because we get a lot of advice as far as on brand, and it's like, your brand message, it's got to be all these many things and you got to do all these many things. But one thing that gave me freedom, because part of our values as a company is freedom, the freedom to be who God has created us to be that authentically, flowing, fluidly, right? And so one of the things that I thought about was, what was the thing that helped me to really to step into my brand message and to really embody that with truth, and really come out of hiding and really stand in my divine authority and really just be me and feel like I belong, without having to apologize for being loud, without having to apologize for being commanding, without feeling like I had to quiet myself, because I know that when I walk in a room, just my presence alone, it carries power, just like many of you. And so sometimes I would go and hide. And so I had to think, what was the things that really, really help me to lift up my voice, to empower my voice, to be the brand that I know that I have been called to be. And the very first thing that came up for me is that to really realize and know that my voice and the perspective that I had to communicate, that it actually mattered, that it actually mattered. And so I wrote something that I want to say to you, is that how you think and what you have to say based on your experience is your thought leadership. Let me say that again. How you think and what you have to say based on your unique experiences. That's your education, that's your story, that's all of that wrapped up. That is your unique thought leadership. That is your brand message. So every time I get on a podcast, or I'm in an interview, or I'm on a summit, I always incorporate my story. My story is part of my thought leadership. My story of coming from a household where there was drug abuse, alcoholism, prison recidivism. It is the motivation behind why I lead leaders into their own breakthrough, why I lead leaders into empowering their own prosperity. Because I thought to myself, and looking at my family members, I thought, who would they be if they knew who they were? Who would they be if they knew the power that they possess? Who would they be and what would they be doing? What type of impact would they be making? And I looked at that, and I made a decision to say that I'm going to break that generational cycle. I was going to start with my family and then move into affecting change in other families' lives. Do you see what I just did there? I just shared my unique perspective and my unique experiences, using my brand story to affect change and call up the leaders that I am being called to serve, the ones that know that they've been gifted, but don't know how to really put that out in the marketplace. And they found themselves in their own prisons, their prisons of lack, their prisons of doubt and insecurity, their prisons of the 9 to 5 job, their prisons, and they're going in and out in this circle. When I do that, I'm calling up my leaders from my own unique perspective. What does that look like for you? And so the very first thing that you have to do is to realize that your unique perspective, it is your thought leadership, and it does matter. People need to hear your story. What that's going to do is build that know, like, trust factor, and it's going to cause people to come to you like a moth to a flame, because it's like, hey, like, I see that. I see me in her, and vice versa, and I want to do the same thing. That's the first. The second thing is in empowering your voice and creating alignment, is that you have to say and think to yourself, and know this. Don't just think it. You got to know it, and say that what you have to say, that it is valuable. So what I have to say, that it is valuable. So when I think about that, I think about what the verse in the Bible where it says, "My sheep know my voice. My sheep know my voice." So, first of all, you got to know that your voice matters and what you have to say is valuable. So, the content that you're sharing into the marketplace, you have to come to the reckoning that that is value, that is adding something to your people's lives. That's the first thing. But the second thing is that I'm not trying to save everybody. I'm only trying to reach my sheep with my message and the things that I have to say based on the unique design that and what I've been called to do, my assignment. So I'm only looking for the people that I have been uniquely assigned to. They hear my voice. Think about a mother and a child. It does not matter where that, so a child, as soon as they hear their mama's voice, I can say, I can attest to this. I can hear, it could be many mamas in the room, but when I hear my mom's voice, this one distinct voice out of a whole crowd, I know that's my mama. I know that's mom saying, Dondra, or she don't even have to say my name. I just hear her voice. I know her from out of a crowd. That's how clear and concise your message has to be, to where it doesn't matter if there's a crowded online space. It doesn't matter what room you're in. Your sheep will hear your voice, and they won't respond to a stranger. It should break your heart to hear your sheep, not your sheep responding to somebody else beyond what you've been, knowing that you've been assigned to that sheep. So it should break your heart knowing that your sheep are going to somebody else, knowing that you've been assigned to it. Many of us are showing up in our brand, and we're muffling our voice because we are feeling powerless. And so we're feeling powerless, and we're feeling like our voice doesn't matter, and we're feeling like, well, we have to say that it's not a value add. And so it's like, well, why should I say anything? Because first of all, nobody's listening. Second of all, I don't even know if what I'm saying it's valuable, because there's a lot of other people saying it. But remember, nobody says it like how you say it. And when you say it, your sheep's ears are going to perk up. Your ideal audience ears are going to perk up, and they're going to hear you above the noise. But when you're choosing to be with the noise, and you're choosing to be the noise, because you're blending in and you're saying what everybody else is saying in your industry, you're choosing not to be the lighthouse in your industry. And so what you have to do in order to fix that is to make the decision to tell yourself, because you got to sell you on you before you can sell anybody else on your brand. Let me say that again, because I'm going to be really redundant today. You got to sell you on you before you can sell anybody else on your brand. You got to lift up your own voice, and you got to say to your own self, let it hit your own ears, and say that, hey, what I have to say, it matters. My voice is a contribution to the industry and to the people that I have been called to serve. And so I know that when I put this piece of content out here, that it is good. You got to get a kingdom mindset, and you got to be like Daddy God. See, we're made in his image, and we should be reflecting back in earth the things that he did. He created it. He looked at it. He spoke it into existence. He created it in his mind. He spoke it into existence. He looked at it. He said, it is good. So you got to create it, your brand message in your mind, knowing that it's something that God has given you. You have been gifted to share this message with the word. Once you do it, you speak it out into the world, to the world on whatever platform you've been called to do it. Rather, you're writing it in a book, you're writing it in a blog, you're speaking on stage, because remember, everything that you do, it is part of your brand experience. It's part of the brand experience that you create. So you got to get to the point to where your belief is so big and you're sold on your own message that you look at that thing and you say, it is good. It is good. It is good. You know why it's good? Because Daddy God gave it to me, and he breathed this message into me, and I'm just breathing it back into the earth. And I have the power within me to bring life forth. And so you got to think that whatever the words that you're speaking, see, Christ, when he spoke life into existence. Your words should speak life into existence. And that's why it's so important to know your audience at a deep, deep level, so that you will know that if the words that you're speaking, are they bringing life? Are they speaking life into the people that you're being called to affect change? Because if they're not speaking life, then they're going to scroll to the next person. They're going to scroll to the next person. And if you don't believe that they're life, they're going to fall on deaf ears. If you don't believe that your words are good, and you don't believe that the words that you're speaking are life, they're going again to fall on deaf ears. So then that gives you opportunity to just say, you know what? I'm making a decision to change this, and I'm making a decision to say that what I have to say, it is valuable. I'm part of it. My value, my contribution is valuable to the industry. Lord, I'm getting tongue tied today. It is a valuable contribution to the industry, and when I speak life, and don't question it. Don't second guess it. Don't overanalyze it based on your feelings. Your feelings, I talked about this yesterday in my live. Your feelings are fickle. They will have you on an emotional wave, second guessing, is my message good? Am I good enough? Am I an imposter? But if you can sell you on you, you will shut down that imposter syndrome, and you will just start to say, I am that. I am this message. I've lived this message. I've walked this message out. This message is true. I've seen it create transformation in the lives of my clients. I know that what I'm putting out, it is good. I know that what I am putting out, it is good. We got to get to the point to where we're going into point 3. We cultivate a dominion mindset when it comes to our messaging. We have to get to the point to where we cultivate, let me say this again, we cultivate a dominion mindset when it comes to our messaging. That means that we are taking ownership of the thing that we know, the message that we know that we've been sent here on earth to say and to speak out. Jesus came to speak about the kingdom of God. He just kept saying, the kingdom of God is here. The kingdom of God is here. He was always true to his message. And when they tried to question him about that, he said he didn't worry about what their questions was and all of that, because he always had a mindset that I am that. I am the kingdom of God. It is here. This is what I've been called to do. The kingdom of God is here. What is your message? That you are that. I am that. I am that. When you cultivate a kingdom dominion mindset, then you start to take ownership of that thing. And when you can take ownership of that thing, that's the thing that people will seek you out for. When you take ownership of that message, that's the thing that people will seek you out for. So when they think weight loss, then they should think of you. When they think beauty, they should think of you. When they think of a Christian business coach, they should think of you, because you have taken ownership of that real estate in the marketplace, and you put your stake in the ground and you said, I am that. I am that. And people come to me for this particular message. And it, because this message is not only just a message, it's the mission. And from this mission, I see movement, and I activate greatness in other people's lives based on the message that I'm consistently sharing out here in the marketplace. And so you got to become the person who embodies that, and you take on the dominion mindset that I am the influencer for this thing. I am the one to be known for this particular message. I am that. I am that. Say it in the chat. I am that. I am that. I am that. And when you can get that type of dominion mindset, doesn't matter what the naysayers say, because I am that. It doesn't matter what my inner critics say on the bad days when I don't feel like I have the words to say. I am that. It doesn't matter what the market says and the shifts and all of this stuff. I am that. And so when you can do that, you cultivate this dominion mindset to where you start to move mountains out of your way. You start to move the obstacles that was once presented themselves as obstacles. And then things just, again, it just starts to move out the way, and things become clearer. And you start to have this level of clarity where other people start to say, she is that. Yeah, you need to know her for this because she has helped me with that. And so you start to flip the script because you are embodying that. You are starting to live that. Does that make sense? I hope this is making sense what I'm putting out. I see you, Vendetta. I see you, Dawn. I see you, ladies, and y'all are doing amazing, amazing in this chat. And that just tells me that, Melanie, I see you. I see you. And that just tells me that you are embodying it. And so, what I want to say as we get ready to wrap things up, as you can see, this is not traditional brand teaching. Because the thing about the traditional brand teaching is that you hear it all the time. And really, we have really started to become what's the word that I want to say? It's almost become like we've gotten used to hearing that. And it's like, okay, well, I'm doing that. Or you'll say, okay, I've been doing that, and you'll just move on. But if you start to shift your mindset, and that's why I wanted to give you some mindset tools on how to position your brand from a kingdom stance, and you start to take that dominion mindset, you start to realize that your unique perspective, that it matters. And you start to say that my voice is it and the perspective that I have, it is good. It is good. Do you see what I'm saying? I am selling me on my own message before I am even putting it out in the marketplace. And the words that I'm using, they are strategic. They're strategically in alignment with words that the Lord used when he spoke about the things that he did. It is good. I am that. You got to start putting those type of things in. And when you can do that, you can walk in any room and feel like you belong. You can walk in any room and you can find that your message and the contribution, the unique contribution that you have, and from your perspective, that it is good and that you belong in that room, and you won't shy down, and you won't muffle your voice, or you won't go and hide, or you won't try to conform to fit. You will just be activated in your own greatness, and you will stand in that divine position, and you will go out and you will affect change in a major way. And you'll start to see that people will start to be gravitating to you, because you then become the lighthouse in your industry. Because not only are you saying your message, you're embodying your message. And even when your mouth is closed, then you're still being the message, because it's being reflected off of you. And your message is being reflected off of you, just the way in how you're positioning yourself and you've posed yourself and all of that. And so one thing that I want to say, like I say, is that as we do this in our with our generational wealth codes accelerator, like what I'm going to be doing is going to be just game changing. And when I say that, I mean it, is because what we're going to do is I'm going to literally be walking you through your spiritual gifts and teaching you how to embody your spiritual gifts from a messaging standpoint so that you can empower your own voice. Because if our gifts it make room for us and they bring us before great men, then we really have to understand how to do that. And it's not just about what we're saying, it's who we're being, it's how we are positioning ourselves in a room, it's how we're authentically expressing those. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be getting to the heart of those, and we're going to be and this morning I was thinking, and I was like, God, it just was coming on my mind. He was just speaking, and I was just getting a whole lot of downloads. And he was saying, I am the strategy. So whereas most people are looking for a bunch of strategy, where you can go and Google that, literally, like go to YouTube, you will find a plethora of information on how to brand your business, how to do whatever, how to do marketing, how to do all the things. But it's not until the message becomes transformational on the inside of you, and you can really embody that message, and you can really become it, and you can really take on a kingdom mindset or a dominion mindset, and you can go out and say, you know what, I am that. What I have to say, that it is good and it is a contribution. And so we're going to literally crack the seed of your gifts and explore all facets of it from a place to where not only are you understanding the authority that your gifts bring to the marketplace and why the enemy has been trying to silence your voice for all these years, and why the enemy don't want you to share your story, and why you're feeling all these imposter syndromes. Maybe that you're not in your lane and you're not authentically expressing things how you've been called to do it. Maybe that imposter syndrome is giving you information and is trying to get you into line you up and create an alignment that said that aligns with the reason why you came here to this earth. Maybe it's information. And so we're going to crack that seed open, and we're going to help you to really identify that message and to put it out there in a congruent way to where it literally positions you to be the lighthouse in your industry, so that people can see you for who you are, and then they just start to refer you. And you're not putting out all this information and content second guessing yourself, saying, well, why is it not working? Been there, done that. Why is it not working? Why is everybody? You will literally stop the scroll, and people will be like, I need to know her, and you need to know her too, because the way that she speaks is transformational, is game changing. And she is the only one here on this earth that can do it like she does it, because her sheep hears her voice. Her sheep respond to her voice, and her sheep she has a voice to know how to go and capture them and pull them in. And so, y'all, that's what it's like to really tap into your gifts. Don't just hear these scriptures and think that, oh, okay, I just my gifts will make room for me and bring me before great men. How we're going to kind of teach you to tap into the how of that and to do it authentically. And there's so many more layers to it. Go to Coach Dawn put it off in the chat. I'm not going into that. Click it. It's on the screen there. Look. And just go, and you will see all the information. We will be getting started soon. There is payment plans available, but what I will tell you is that this will set you on a trajectory to accelerate your results in 2023. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels and second guessing yourself and questioning your message, and you're tired of people overlooking you, feeling overlooked, feeling unqualified, feeling like I don't know how to do what I'm being called to do, you want to be in the room, because we're going to give you the game plan. We're going to give you the framework. We're going to give you the structure to help you to tap into your kingdom blueprint like no other. So go ahead and register. I think that's it. I will see y'all next week. Yep, next Thursday for whatever Lunch Bites will be. Talk to you later. Bye.